I want to give a shout out to Tumblr who took
Shit.
who took
Yeah.
the forklift bit and just ran with it.
Just
Thank you
ran
very
with
much.
it.
It's wild because I've never used Tumblr. Like, I've known people like
Same.
that were really big into Tumblr. I mean, I know Jay, who's super
I'm
big.
not big into Tumblr, but I
Well,
have spent time
You
on
were at one point, I think.
I used it.
Yeah. But like I see some of my favorite, like, I guess memes have been like literally they're just like screenshots from Tumblr. Great content comes out of Tumblr. It's just confusing to me. I don't understand how it works.
It's a very confusing website.
Because again, I just can't do anything on this podcast without making myself sound like the oldest man.
There is a certain amount of old in this 2012 website is very confusing to me. But to be fair, yes.
It's got a confusing layout. All right, I don't know.
I mean,
my tired old eyes are confused by. But yeah, I mean, it was wild to see Jay posting screenshots in our like private Discord and like seeing directly in reference to our content. That was wild.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
I had a weird night.
That's one thing I really like about Tumblr. 30 views on YouTube or Podbean or whatever, not a lot of communication. 30 notes on Tumblr, a lot of communication. It made my week. Thank you all so much. You are definitely not listening to this show.
I was about to say, that was the highlight of my week.
Yeah.
Great. I don't know if any of those people have heard any. I also meant to ask, so I guess I'll just ask here. Did you post can you post videos on Tumblr?
Yes, very much you can. Better than Twitter, that's for sure. Oh, buddy.
I'm just dust, all right? If you're here from Tumblr, welcome. Hello. I just don't expect our audience to grow ever, so if it's even seems like it is, I get terrified for a moment.
If you are here from Tumblr, hello, welcome. I'm so sorry.
Hello, welcome. I don't know how Tumblr works. Sorry. I'm sorry. If you just got here, I'm sorry. This is your first interaction with it.
I run the social. I don't know how Tumblr works.
Fuck, I remember MySpace. Ben, do you remember MySpace? Probably not.
Hello, welcome to Star Wars Every Week Forever, the podcast in which we watch one Star Wars movie every week forever. I had to do it. This week, Attack of the Clones. Chris, I think you were talking about, do you remember MySpace?
Yeah, do you remember MySpace?
My older sister had a MySpace, and she made me one at one point, and I never did anything with it.
I remember MySpace. Those were dark days.
I will very occasionally still get phantom messages from MySpace. It's like, where did this come from?
I deleted my MySpace many, many years ago, which is probably one of the smartest decisions I ever made.
Ben, how was your watch?
Awful. Next question.
Mm-hmm. Chris, how was your watch?
It was fucking weird.
Weird. Weird is a new descriptor.
I know we make a lot of jokes about like dissociation on this podcast. I hard dissociated watching this movie this week.
I don't know if I was joking.
Well, it's part of the. I feel like I have to like clarify. Like, no, I legitimately had a hard dissociation watching this because I know everything we do here is a bit. This was not a bit. I had a full fucking dissociative episode watching this movie this week.
I was not doing a bit. I have had hard, full dissociations. I totally get it.
I feel like I have to point it out to the audience, because at this point, it's like fucking wrestling. Nobody knows what's real or fake anymore on this podcast. Everything's a fucking bit.
I'm very real on this show.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's the problem of doing this show is we're being very serious, but we also do bits constantly, and so people don't realize that the bits are just serious now.
Yeah.
The bits are real.
The bits have become serious.
Jay, how was your watch?
I stood up. I didn't watch it in parts, but I had to stand up and just walk away angrily at one point.
He storms out of her room at one point.
Yeah. She's just
Well,
out.
I was home alone basically. So I was walking out of my living room and it's just like I need to go do something. Dishes. I'll do dishes. By the way, worst chore, I fucking hate doing dishes. So that tells you
I love
where.
doing the dishes.
Yes, I know you do. You won't let me do the dishes in your
I know
house
it's
when I
because
say
it's my
over.
one. Dishes was my weird side tangent. Dishes was my my coping mechanism because that is like the one time my family would leave me alone is when I'm cleaning the dishes. So now because of that trauma response, I'm just like dishes are the fucking bomb, dude.
I didn't mind dishes until I had a kid. Fun fact, babies go through a lot of bottles and they come in a lot of pieces. There's a lot of stuff going on inside of a baby bottle. There's like 5 layers of shit you gotta clean, and they're very small. They're very fucking small.
I hate dishes. I have always hated dishes. I did dishes once for Ben while he was at work one day, the first time I stayed over, and he came home and he looked borderline annoyed that I had done dishes.
Not annoyed. I was just like, oh, I was looking forward to those.
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
Bad movie. Very bad movie.
Bad movie.
This might be easily every time the worst watch for me. Like, every time it's Attack of the Clones, I hate the most. Like, I can feel, like, every time you get to them, the haha fascism scene where it's Anakin and Padme sitting there, I feel a part of my soul leave my body. Because they do this fast zoom in on it, and it's just like the fast zoom in is so counterproductive, is like so different from how slow the rest of that scene is. It's like something has left me every time where it's like I have to sit through this now. I will be sitting through this now. Okay, great. It's still going on, and that's when the disassociative episodes happens every time. Like, that's when I'm just like, the movie just starts happening to me, and I'm not really taking it in.
It's like, I think we've said it before, but just like all of the Anakin Padme stuff, I just like, do we need this?
We didn't need it.
This whole thing could be like a fucking 2-minute scene where they're like, yep, look, Anakin Padme having fun, and that's like it.
No, the worst part is we did need it, but not in this movie. This should have been set up earlier.
I mean, like, if they had just done a first movie in the trilogy where your main character wasn't 9.
You're telling me you didn't want 9-year-old Anakin waxing poetically about the benefits of a dictatorship?
Speaking of, while we're on this scene anyway, does the Jedi Temple teach civics?
I don't think they have
teach anything.
I don't think they have a course list, Jay. Like, I don't think they have like math and.
You
don't have Padawans.
Does the Jedi Temple have a curriculum?
Yeah, like, I don't think they have. It's like, put this bowl on your head and not get shot by this droid.
Yeah, is it only just that of floating fucking pears? Is that what this is? Because I have heard a lot of people sit in a conversation and bullshit. You all right, Chris?
You said floating pears, and my brain immediately did the Family Guy cut to a bit in my brain thing where I just saw Anakin floating the pear across the table and whispering like, I learned this in Jedi school.
These are familiar. I remember using these.
I've sat in a lot of, and even I have been guilty of sometimes just bullshitting a little bit, but I've sat around a lot of bullshit artists. And if you watch them struggle through explaining a thing they're pretending to know, you know when they're full of shit. And the way Anakin speaks in that scene is as if he has never learned anything about any part of the governmental system of the Senate, or of the Republic. Just never once anything, which leads me to think, did they teach civics? Did they teach math?
Well, he's literally regurgitating.
Are Jedi literate?
He's literally regurgitating the opinion Obi-Wan gave like an hour ago in this movie.
No, like, Obi-Wan has like a semi-nuanced, like...
No, he doesn't. Yeah. Obi-Wan's like, politicians bad. That's
politicians bad, Ben.
No, I know, I agree. But like, like literally Anakin starts like, well, I don't hate all politicians. Like I think Senator Amidala is good, and he's like, Anakin, she's a politician. Like,
No,
yes,
that's not
Obi-Wan. Yes, he says that.
No, he says Senator Palpatine. It's an important distinction.
But the response is he's a
The same, yeah.
politician.
Yeah. And
Which
he's
is
right.
He's right, yeah.
Which
Obi-Wan
means
is
fuck Padme
Obi-Wan-
because she's a politician.
Listen, I won't have
Which
this.
means fuck Duchess Satine because she was a politician.
Is that the one that
Obi-Wan.
Is that the one Obi-Wan fell in love with? Is that
Yeah.
what is going
I mean,
on here?
Ben, he did.
He fucked. You know what? You know what, Chris?
He did fuck. You're right. I
Chris,
mean,
God
he did.
damn it.
You're right. Well, that kid's told that kid with the funny name is totally Obi-Wan's. That's my.
The kid with the funny name.
I don't remember what the kid's name is. The
Satine's
kid's got
kid.
a weird name.
Or no, was that her? Wasn't that her nephew?
No, she has a kid, doesn't she?
I forget if it's her or Bo-Katan who has. It's Duchess.
No, it's
Satine,
Satine. Yeah. Well, what's this fucking kid's name?
I was gonna say Satine does sound like a Scottish name, but
Mandalorian.
Oh, maybe it is her nephew. So who the fuck's kid is this?
I think Bo-Katan has some explaining to do.
The kid's name is Corky.
Corky, I forgot that.
maybe Dave Filoni shouldn't be the one that took the naming job
Absolutely,
from
he
George
should be.
Lucas.
Who the fuck? Whose kid is this? Hold on.
I mean, he also came up with Horror Loathsome.
He was the nephew of Bo-Katan and Satine.
Okay.
Oh, so she had another sibling. Or
Well,
they had another sibling.
no, I think that's where the Obi-Wan theory comes from, because you never get told anything about the parents, so it's like, yeah, this is my nephew.
I
His
see.
name is Corky Kenobi.
Corky
Kenobi.
He's just a quirked up little Jedi.
Yeah, that's this article literally is talking about, like, yeah, he's Satine and Bo-Katan's nephew, but as far as we know, the two sisters don't have any other siblings.
Oh.
Well, now that we've talked about Corky,
Now that we've talked about Corky, do we want to try to get a new perspective on Attack of the Clones?
No.
Don't. Ben, I'm trying to lead into... Yes,
I know
and...
you are.
I know it's difficult
Yes,
for you,
and...
but yes, and me.
Yes, and.
Yes, and me.
You got a yes, and.
Do we want to go check out Roger Ebert's review
Oh my
of Attack
God,
of the
yes.
Clones?
I would love to hear Roger Ebert's review.
There's nothing I want more right now.
Thank you. You went hardcore into the other end of yes anding me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Ben. So this is comparatively, last week was a 3.5 star review. This week is a 2-star review.
That's generous.
That's pretty generous.
As written by Roger Ebert on May 10th, 2002. It is not what's there on the screen that disappoints me, but what's not there. Very different tone.
I'm pretty disappointed by what's there.
Immediate tone shift. It is easy to hail the imaginative computer images that George Lucas brings to Star Wars Episode II Attack of the Clones. To marvel at his strange new aliens and towering cities and sights such as thousands of clones all marching in perfect ranks into a huge spaceship. To see the beginnings of the dark side in young Anakin Skywalker. All of those experiences are there to be cheered by fans of the Star Wars series, and for them this movie will affirm their faith. I can't say that was particularly the case. But what about the agnostic viewer? The hopeful ticket buyer walking in not as a cultist, but as a moviegoer hoping for a great experience.
You know what? I don't think there's a better word.
Yeah, I mean...
Through the retrospective of how the sequels went with the fan base, I think cultist is a very good word for that.
Is this Star Wars critic-proof and scoff-resistant? Yes, probably at the box office. But as someone who admired the freshness and energy of earlier films, I was amazed at the end of Episode 2 to realize that I had not heard one line of quotable, memorable dialogue. And the images, however magnificently conceived, did not have the impact they deserved.
I need to point Roger Ebert in the direction of r/prequel memes.
You're right, that doesn't hold up well. I'll get to them in a moment. The first hour of episode 2 contains a sensational chase through skyscraper canyons of a city and assorted briefer shots of spaceships and planets. But most of the first hour consists of dialogue, as the characters establish plot points, update viewers on what has happened since episode 1, and debate the political crisis facing the Republic. They talk and talk and talk. And their talk is in a flat utilitarian style. They seem more like lawyers than the heroes of a romantic fantasy. In the classic movie adventures that inspired Star Wars, dialogue was often colorful, energetic, witty, and memorable. The dialogue in episode 2 exists primarily to advance the plot, provide the necessary information, and give a little screen time to continuing characters who are back for a new episode. The only characters in this stretch of the film, I swear to God, if these ads don't stop fucking moving this all around the fucking page on me, I'm losing it.
That was weird that Roger Ebert was so angry about ads in this review.
The only characters in this stretch of the film who have inimitable personal styles are the beloved Yoda and the hated Jar Jar Binks, whose idiosyncrasies turn off audiences for The Phantom Menace. Yes, Jar Jar's accent may be odd and his mannerisms irritating, but at least he's a unique individual and not a bland cipher. The other characters, Obi-Wan, Padme, Anakin, seem so strangely stiff and formal in their speech that an unwavering viewer might be excused for thinking they were the clones, soon to be exposed. Too much of the rest of the film is given over to a romance between Padme and Anakin in which they're incapable of uttering anything other than the most basic and weary romantic cliches, while regarding each other as if love was something to be endured rather than cherished. There is no romantic word they exchange that has not long since been reduced to a cliche. I'm noticing something, if you'll forgive me a little pause here. I'm getting the feeling that Roger Ebert is willing to be very, very forgiving of the Star Wars movies if they stick to what they're good at. But it sure seems like the core of the annoyance here is the fact that this movie didn't do the shit that the other Star Wars movies were good at, and the shit that he forgave Phantom Menace for, which is big, memorable things happening on the screen, whereas this is like George Lucas writes Shakespeare, which it might rhyme, but it's dog shit.
I mean, to be fair, when you're in the 5th movie of a saga, and all the fun action adventure stuff turns into the weirdest political romance movie,
Yeah.
I'd knock some points off of it for that too.
Also, like, am I the only one who has never been excited by that first Coruscant chase?
I mean, look, I don't like anything about this movie anymore, but I was always a big fan of the opening previously. Just 'cause it's different. You see a little bit of urban, like, city, and, you get, it's something different. They're not in the desert or in, like,
Okay.
undefined forest or...
I'm going to be deeply controversial here for a second. I think this movie has John Williams' worst soundtrack.
Ooh.
Is that controversial? You're not saying John Williams is dog shit. You're just saying of all of his
repertoire,
of all of his work, this isn't the best.
Other than the
I don't think he wants anything his best attached to this steaming pile of dog shit. So
other than the Anakin and Padme suite, which I think is good, none of the music in this movie to me is good except stuff that's returning until the end of the movie, much like the rest of the movie. And I find the Droid Factory and the Coruscant chase to be particularly annoying. And part of that is because I know that John Williams and Ben Burtt argued a lot about the sound design in this movie. But yeah, I really don't like it, and I appreciate that Roger Ebert is just kind of like, yeah, we got like 2 action scenes. That's fucking great.
Jay, I got a question for you.
What?
Would you prefer?
I don't like where this is going.
What? No, honest question. If so,
he's smirking right now.
No, I'm not. So this chase. Would you
gonna
prefer
kill
it if
you.
it happened in a pod racing ring?
I'm going to kill you. I'm going
Please.
to. I don't even have the camera on right now, but I will
Christ.
bring on the camera.
I
will turn on the camera.
Coming from a mile away because I had my
Jump
nerves.
through.
So
You're predictable
tempered.
now.
I had
You're
my nerves so tempered.
You're predictable now.
Oh shit, she's here.
You're predictable now. I can see
The
it
reaction.
coming 1,000 miles away. And the worst part is you kept trying. It was like you took a tractor trailer and you hit an obstacle, but instead of trying to back up, you
jackknifed
just
it.
kept you capsized it. You fucking T-boned your way through the fucking obstacle. It makes me so mad. It makes me so mad that you didn't back out of it knowing that. Ah!
I love you, Jay.
Look, if there's one thing that we love about Ben, it's that he commits fully to everything.
It's not even that, because he only commits fully to his bits. It's only his bits.
Well, yeah, that's all. Look, as long as you fully commit to your own bits on this show, nobody else has to. I think I've proven that a million times.
No, wait. Anakin tells Padme at one point, "I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating. Not like you. You're soft and smooth." I hadn't heard that before. We're going back to the review now.
Excuse me, Roger Ebert. He says not like here.
Yes.
You dingus. I know this movie by heart and I hate it.
Yes, Ben. Go ahead and give Roger Ebert notes. For only watching this dog shit movie once compared to our 13.
What kind of person watches this movie one time? I mean, come on.
When
What are
you
you
watch
like?
it 13 times?
What are you like? Sane? Come on.
It sounds like a quitter to me.
Roger Ebert, you're a quitter.
You're a quitter.
Oh God, we're going back to Hellcourt.
When it comes to the computer-generated images, I feel that I cannot entirely trust the screening experience I had. I could see that in conception, many of these sequences were thrilling and inventive. I liked the Planet of Rain, and the vast coliseum in which the heroes battle strange alien beasts, and the towering Senate chamber, and the secret factory where clones were being manufactured. But I felt like I had to lean with my eyes towards the screen in order to see what I was being shown. The images didn't pop out and smack me with delight in which they did in earlier films. There was a certain fuzziness and indistinctiveness that seemed to undermine their potential power. I feel this. This is something that I don't know if I've been able to verbalize well in any of these episodes. This whole movie, the CGI's there, it's fine, but it's so flat. Whenever we interact with CGI characters in this movie, the backgrounds don't feel like they meet with the actual people or the practical effects. It's like watching someone act against a painting in the background. Everything is so flat in the background that it doesn't seem like it's a part of the same world as like Ewan McGregor walking through a room.
Or walking into a diner.
God damn it. Later I went on the web to look at the trailers for the movie and was startled.
The web.
The web, by the way, it's capitalized. The W in web is capitalized.
Web.
Welcome to a 2002 review. Later, I went on the web to look at the trailers for the movie and was startled to see how much brighter, crisper, and more colorful they seemed on my computer screen than in the theater. Although I know that video images are routinely timed to be brighter than movie images, I suspect another reason for this. Episode 2 was shot entirely on digital video. He's getting to it. It is being projected in digital video on 19 screens, but on some 3,000 others, audience will see it as I did, transferred to film. How it looks in digital projection, I cannot say, although I hope to get a chance to see it that way. I know Lucas believes it looks better than film, but then he has cast his lot with digital. My guess is that the film version of Episode 2 might jump more sharply from the screen in a small multiplex theater. But I saw it on the largest screen in Chicago, and my suspicion is the density and saturation of the image were not adequate to imprint the image there in a forceful way. I think you might be overthinking it.
I get what he's saying, and it makes sense, and it's something we don't think about now because these movies have been fucking remastered for all of our screens a billion times.
I 1,000% get what he's saying, but in a world now where digital is the norm, it still seems flat.
I feel like most theaters, though, aren't on pure film, though. Like, they're on that digital.
That's what I'm saying.
Projection.
But he's saying because he saw it
in 2000, whenever.
In 2002 on a giant screen that would be from. He's saying he didn't see it in the proper way in order to appreciate it, whereas us today, we're seeing it through a largely digital lens. The world has gone digital, and I still see that flatness.
I mean, it's still there for sure, but I imagine it's not nearly as bad as it was in 2002.
Maybe.
Digital being transitioned over to film and then projected, like I imagine it was probably far, far worse. I mean, God, like, any movie that's re-released or remastered in like 4K, UHD, all that shit, like there's been a few of them now where I've watched it like, oh, they cleaned this up a lot. Like this used to look like
even
shit.
Like when they upscale stuff like that, a lot of like I watched the extended edition Lord of the Rings again recently because I do that once every couple years. Don't shake your head at me, Christopher.
We just talked about this last week.
We can't go back to the fantasy talk.
But I love those movies, and watching them on Blu-ray in 4K, the upscaling doesn't make them look good because it looks like they're on a movie set then. It's too crisp almost, if that makes sense.
So I have had a PS2 and a PS1 sitting in my room for years and have never gotten anything for them, and the PS2 doesn't have a power cord. So I'm actually making an effort to get my PS2 running. The way I see it is very similar to how I see re-releases of like classic PS2 games on the next generation of consoles, not next gen, but like the 360 and the PS3 and stuff like that, where everybody was like, something's wrong here when they got brought up. When you enhance images that were not meant for HD or 10 or 720p at the time or anything like that, it does not look it looks off because it wasn't made for that. It was made for a CRTV or a flat image. And the same thing happens in some of the games that have a 16:9 aspect ratio on PS2. You're literally, it looks off when you try to make it like full screen. I think it's similar. I think the switch between digital and film is part of the problem. Chris is sitting there so disagreeing right now.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just laughing because like all these like sci-fi novels, it was like the year's 2013 and the planet is decimated. And we had flying cars for a bit. Here it is 2022 and Ben's like, my movie looks too good.
It's not that it looks too, you know what I'm saying though.
I know. It's I get it, but it's still a very funny issue.
And also, we're not saying it looks too good. We're saying it looks worse somehow.
Like it's too crisp and too clean, and I get it. It's just very funny.
Like you see these fucking people in like fantasy Middle Ages running around in the woods, and I'm like, I don't know. It looks off.
This is the worst possible
You're like,
reply.
It's like, oh, I saw this last week in Central Park. What are you talking about? These are just those
Digital images contain less information than 35mm film images. And the more you test their limits, the more you see that. 2 weeks ago, I saw Patton. Oh, boy, this is a dated review, huh? 2 weeks ago, I saw Patton shown in 70mm Dimension 150, and it was the most astonishing projection I had ever seen. Absolute detail on a giant screen, which was 6,000 times larger than a frame of the 75mm film. That's what large format film can do, but it's a standard Hollywood has abandoned, except for IMAX. and we are being asked to forget how good screen images can look. What, Chris? To accept the compromises. Okay, now you can say it.
Just a quick aside. What was the movie he saw? I'm too high to remember. Patton. Hey Ben, what's Patton?
Patton is a movie where.
Okay, let's try a different take. Who is Patton?
Yeah, who?
Patton was a World War II general.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. I was about to make a complaint about
You didn't think I was gonna get the World War II trivia right.
That's fair. You're right.
So I figured that one would be a softball enough that we wouldn't have. I was ready to be impressed, baby. Oh, it's the movie about Patton, like that's nice and quick and simple.
Well, I wasn't sure because he was going into like a rant there to try to figure out what it was.
No, because I can't.
No,
remember.
I think Ben was just going into a bit.
No, I legit was stalling to buy time because I can't remember the motherfucker's first name.
Oh, neither could I.
Oh,
Rob?
General,
isn't it?
Mr. Patton, your son was just born. General. You will call him General.
Oh, that might be my favorite joke.
Oh my God!
Podcast.
This is the Akbar bit again.
Oh my God!
That's the Akbar bit.
Fuck. Our brains are fucking rotted. Our brains are so fucking rotted.
I gotta get the TikTok back.
I am sure I will hear from countless fans who assure me that episode 2 looks terrific, but it does not. At least what I saw did not. It may look great in digital projection on multiplex-sized screens, and I'm sure it will look great on DVD, but on a big screen, it lacks the authority it needs.
The authority.
The authority. I have to see the film again to do it justice. I'm sure I will greatly enjoy its visionary sequences on DVD. I like stuff like that. He's being so kind to this movie.
He's being as nice as he physically possibly
can. Star Wars
and the movie
fans won't see this as kind, but it is very kind.
Is Roger Ebert friends with George Lucas?
I don't know.
Because I have heard this man eviscerate movies.
Yeah. This is the most glowing 2-star review I think I've ever heard.
This is actually something that's fun.
This is the Gordon Ramsay on Hell's Kitchen versus Gordon Ramsay on Top Chef Junior meme all over again, where it's just
well, he does have a Gordon Ramsay-esque personality where he will be kinder to certain things if it's very clear it's set for an audience of young people. And he's trying very hard with this, but you can tell he's also annoyed with the adult Star Wars fans.
Which is fair. We pretty much suck. Universally.
Yeah, the dialogue is another matter. Perhaps because a movie like this opens everywhere in the world on the same day, the dialogue has been dumbed down for an easier dubbing and subtitling. Wit, poetry, and imagination are specific to the languages in which they originate. And although translators can work wonders, sometimes you get the words but not the music. So it's safer to avoid the music.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I never thought about.
But in a film with a built-in audience, why not go for the high notes? Why not allow the dialogue to be inventive, stylish, and expressive? There is a certain lifelessness in some of the acting, perhaps because the actors were often filmed in front of blue screens so their environment could be added later by computer. Actors speak more slowly than they might, flatly, factually, formally, as if reciting. Sometimes that reflects the ponderous load of the mythology they represent. At other times, it simply shows that what they have to say is banal. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, is a technological exercise that lacks juice and delight. The title is more appropriate than it should be. And that is Roger Ebert's review.
Jesus.
I want to say ahead of time, I don't know if that comment about music is problematic. Maybe it is. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. It seems like he's saying... I think what Roger Ebert was trying to say was... he prefers dubs to subs, is what I think Roger Ebert was actually saying. He prefers subs to dubs, rather, where he wants to hear it in the original language or something as close to it as possible. But I
Well,
don't know.
he was more trying to say like things can get lost in
Yeah,
translation.
like I wouldn't see that as problematic. Like the way that's phrased, like I would almost think it's almost more inclusive. Like I'd be curious to see what his review of Pan's Labyrinth was, like which is a movie that should be watched in its native language. I love that movie, and I don't ever change the language option.
I saw 5 minutes of that movie, and it scarred me for my entire life until like a couple years ago.
That's what it'll do.
I saw the one scene, and it scarred me for the rest of my life.
The opening of the review is Pan's Labyrinth is one of the greatest one of the greatest of all fantasy films, even though it is anchored so firmly in the reality of war. So he liked it. Although it's only 4 stars. But that was Roger Ebert's review.
What was the one scene that you saw that scarred you, Ben? Because there's a couple.
The pale man.
Oh, I thought you meant like the bottle scene.
No.
That's the one that normally scars people.
Oh boy. Oh, it gets worse. Lovely.
Yeah, you could say it gets worse.
It's an incredible movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Let's take a break from talking about Attack of the Clones. We do have breaking news 6 weeks in the past.
We do?
Like breaking?
We
breaking?
do.
How breaking is this week?
Well, it's gonna be 6 weeks old by the time y'all hear it, so
it might be 7 weeks old. Kotar's back in development. Kotar's back in development. I think it's Saber Interactive. Something similar to that. But I've never heard anything they've ever made before.
Give me some titles. What else have they made?
They've done. Oh, they did a Space Marine Warhammer game.
Oh no.
That's a bad start.
Everyone hates Warhammer.
No, I don't mind.
No,
Warhammer.
it's just a bad
games
game.
Are just dog shit.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I've tried to play a couple of their games because they've made some like turn-based strategy games that I like that genre, and they're all bad. Oh no, they made Time Shift.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I just saw.
Time Shift.
That's what they were part
Time
of.
Shift. You would know it from the $6 and under bin at your local GameStop.
I have played Time Shift all the way through.
I recognize them because they helped make Master Chief Collection and the Combat Evolved Anniversary game.
So I have played Time Shift all the way through. I am not a person that should be talking about controls or anything like that. Anytime I talk about video games, I stick to the story because I should not be trusted on these things. Sometimes I'll say it like in private or to friends or whatever, but I should not be trusted on that. I will say I played Time Shift all the way through, and I forgot it existed until this exact moment, and I forgot I played it till this exact moment. So that should be a glowing review of at least
they were on board for the Crisis games.
They did WWE Battlegrounds.
Also a bad game.
Evil Dead the game, Snow and Mud Runner.
I heard good things about Evil Dead the game though.
Yeah, that game actually looks pretty. Oh no, they did Vampire with a Y.
Bass Pro Shop games.
That does not surprise me.
How the hell did this studio get this license? Oh, they did the Call of Cthulhu game from a couple years ago. That was actually pretty good.
It makes a lot of sense that this studio got this because this studio seems like where games either go to die or get downsized until they're unrecognizable.
I mean, I wouldn't say that for Halo. But
yeah, but they weren't the primary makers of the games. They just helped a little bit.
The Master Chief Collection was not good.
When it first
came
out,
not at first.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ben, how many hours have you put into the Master Chief Collection?
Master Chief Collection, I currently have about a little over 1,200 hours.
Yeah.
In its current state, it's not bad. It's just it had a fucking disastrous launch.
A rickety launch, yeah.
And also, like, you can't take into account the stuff that they helped with, because that's basically like, here are some of our staff. Let them come help you.
Yeah, or they were just like porting stuff.
I halfway think that this is going to end up being like an HD remaster by the end of it.
It's not going to be the big Final Fantasy VII remake thing that they announced it as. It's going to be, at best, it'll be, and I mean at absolute best, because it's still not going to be this. It'll be the new Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 that they just released recently, where it's basically the same game, just new and pretty.
Best case scenario.
I mean,
honestly.
that's what I would prefer.
Yeah.
That's not what they made it sound like it was going to be, though. It was, hey, we're going to change the story. We're going to completely it's a brand new
I
game.
mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they changed the story, but I really think at this point it's going to be like small, minute things. Like maybe Kandros Ordo doesn't bring up the Yuuzhan Vong.
Yeah.
Like that, small stuff like that, I think is probably going to be the things that get changed. Also, like, no, hold on 1 second. I'm playing Kotar, so I'm going to say this. You're doing it anyway. You're going in there. How about you make the Juhani romance a thing that's actually a thing, and not like you don't like you're going to romance her and you only realize like in the last seconds that you're actually romancing her. Like maybe stop being cowards and go back and make like your lesbian love interest someone that you're actually romancing rather than someone that you try really hard to romance and then she expresses your interest in her the last time you talk to her. Maybe go back and fix that romance, huh? Yeah, I think you should. Also, that whole romance is a little fucked up too because you're actually spoilers for Knights of the Old Republic. Then take off your headphones actually, because I actually do want you to be protected from this information.
Oh no. Oh no.
Ben, don't listen to this episode when it comes out.
How do I?
How do you take your headphones off?
No, I was just gonna mute, but yeah, you know what?
Take off your headphones. You take. So in Knights of the Old Republic, Juhani, who is your love interest, you actually save her when she's a child as Revan on Terrace. And that's kind of gross and fucked up. So maybe just, I don't know. I just think they can do better.
Put it back on, bud. Come on back in.
Stop doing the Macarena. Come on.
Macarena.
I'm going to leave all this in so you look foolish.
Ben, I just noticed your current haircut. When you took the headphones off.
That shit grew back fast.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. It's slightly upsetting.
No one's going to talk about that sick Macarena I just did.
Oh, I brought it up, and it's going to be in the episode that you...
That sick Macarena.
Things that absolutely normal people definitely say. That sick Macarena I just did.
Sick Macarena. Hey, bro, look at that sick Macarena.
People have definitely said that out loud in life. Hey, I'm going to break the mold here and criticize Anakin Skywalker.
We have a mold.
No, who would ever? Jar Jar Binks literally looks at this motherfucker and I'm going to defend Jar Jar for a second here, actually.
God help you.
Looks at this motherfucker and says, I really missed you. And he's like, I'm really upset that Padme didn't like remember me. Like, why doesn't Padme remember me? Like, his response to an old friend that he knew going, man, I missed you. I'm so excited to see you. Is like, what the fuck is her problem? It's like, you can't take a second. Like,
I mean,
a second.
That is very, like, 19-year-old white boy energy.
I guess.
Yeah, it is.
I was a shithead at 18 or 19, but apparently I was too polite.
I mean, also, we're kind of the exceptions, because, like, that's straight white boy energy.
That's fair enough. That I did eat and consume that individual in order to gain my power.
I did eat and consume that individual. I love that.
I can't take credit for it, but because of that small man, I am far more powerful. Newt Gunray's kind of a fucking moron as well.
Yeah, but I mean, that's something that just kind of hasn't changed.
Yeah, but like he's making all these demands of Count Dooku as if he's entirely fucked if he doesn't go with Dooku's plan.
Newt Gunray is also like the Saturday morning villain of the first two movies. He is like, I desperately want this one person dead, and that's his character.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, man. It's gotten to the point where like we've dug through these movies, and now it's like surface level shit that's really annoying is what I think of.
I mean, look, we we dove pretty hard into the obscure for a while. So I mean, we've created spin-offs based upon like Trento Duaba. We gotta go surface level for a bit.
Oh, not
We've
to
been
knock.
too deep for too long.
We've been too deep.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm gonna drag y'all back into the depths. I do have
No.
one thing. Do you think?
No, I don't.
I do.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Do you think that Palpatine was the one to tip off Padme about the assassination attempt?
I mean, I
'Cause
just assumed she always just had a body double at all times.
Yeah, but specifically the movie sets up that she knew there was an assassination attempt
Well,
coming.
that gets into like what we've talked about before, where it's like, what's the point of Palpatine's plan to assassinate her? And
I actually think this assassination makes more sense if he tipped her off, because it just confirms that all of this was meant to fail from the beginning. I think the complications of these plans was Palpatine setting it up to fail. So if he sets up this elaborate assassination attempt and he tips off Padme, things have been set in motion that he doesn't want to actually come true.
I'm an idiot. This whole time I thought we were talking about like the when she arrives on Coruscant in the first like 5 minutes. Oh, we're not talking about the whole Boba Fett.
no, that's
Well,
why
now we are
it.
bringing that into this scenario.
Well, but that was
Okay.
also
Or not Boba,
also
Jango
implied.
Fett, Jesus
That was
Christ.
also implied to be Jango, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Jango. It was a.
But
Same
someone
Jango.
would have had to hire Jango.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Well,
not just gonna do that out of the kindness of his heart.
We know that either Dooku or Palpatine hired Jango. Why are you laughing and like?
Because I just framed Jango Fett assassinating a senator as doing it out of the kindness of his heart, and I realized just how ridiculous
That's such a weird thing to say.
That's a pretty weird thing
Well,
to say.
We get the feeling that Dooku hired Jango, but I don't believe that. I think Palpatine hired Jango. Because it makes no sense for Dooku to hire Jango. Because that would require a level of conversation between Jango and Dooku that I don't think they were having at that particular point. I think, in a weird way...
I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be, because he literally comes to the droid factory later in the movie.
You're right. You are right.
And also, like...
But
at
also,
the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because the whole time it was both Dooku
and
Palpatine planning this the whole time. So, like, either way, Jango's getting his money to assassinate someone. So I don't think it really matters which of the two, because they're kind of acting as one.
We've gone so far around the loop here that this plan that at the beginning of the movie is starting to make sense to me. I understand why it's so convoluted. And the answer is they didn't want it to succeed. It was actually built to fail.
I mean, we've talked about that a few times, haven't we? Like, was it just tests for Anakin? Was it, just trying to get Anakin where he needed him to be? It was still all
really
about
think
Anakin.
He was just trying to get the boy fucked because he wanted to. I really honestly think, like, yes, I will take this boy. He has become a man. My throat is not happy about doing Palpatine's thing.
I'm just picturing Palpatine singing we'll make a man out of you from fucking Obi-Wan. With the way you phrased that.
Master Skywalker, can I interest you in speed dating? I've organized an evening of speed dating for you.
Do you remember when you were 13 I used to take you to titty bars at the battles of Coruscant? Now the time has come. I have been training you for this because one day you must get married. Fuck whatever the Jedi say. I will reintroduce you to the love of your life. It's going to go great. Because literally that's what Palpatine is doing here.
Uh-huh.
This entire movie is framed so that this girl that he's known since she was running to be queen or whatever, and this boy that he has groomed and probably is the Force daddy of, get together because he knows, man. It's just I'm really figuring out Palpatine today because in a way he set this up so perfectly. Oh my god, I don't know why I'm in the Palpatine headspace today. In a way, he set
She's
this
over
up
there,
so
she's connecting
perfectly.
dots. She's got the
Yeah,
little
it's
thread
really
going
like
between points on the board.
the reason why Palpatine set up Anakin with specifically Padme was because he had to get Anakin to a point where he cared so much about something that he would fall to the dark side. That seems obvious. But if Padme was completely unhindered, like if she had like no connection to Anakin, she would have been the thing that stopped Palpatine outside of the Jedi. Because she is literally the face of a movement that would have ended up stopping him creating the Empire. Like she was like the symbol of that anti-war movement. And if she was not with Anakin, she might have succeeded in stopping it, or she might have been able to take him out of office, or there would have been someone that was on the Jedi side when they toppled Palpatine. So in this weird way, this relationship that he encouraged is the best case scenario for Palpatine. Because if the two were separate, he might never have Anakin, and even if he did, he might not have the power to control the Senate.
But he is the Senate.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much. Look at this room that I've made, all this string that's attached to things, and you just walked in and said, no, one-liner, and grabbed it all and pulled it off the walls.
Look, Jay, we love you, but sometimes we got to remind you what this show is.
This is the show. Getting in the weeds here, where we just sound fucking insane. Getting in the weeds here and saying shit that is totally insane, observations that seem really fucking stupid but are intricate because we've overdosed on these movies, is exactly what this show is about. That and not wanting to ever watch the movies again are the two sides of this podcast.
We have overdosed on Star Wars.
Yes, we have overdosed on Star Wars. I thought that was abundantly clear. But yeah, like honestly, like I understand Palpatine right now. I understand.
Jay has been every voice in Palpatine.
I have been every
Jay
voice.
has been every
inside of
voice
Palpatine's
in
head.
Chris and I's head.
I have been every voice inside of your head. It just I never put two and two together about why it had to be Padme. It never occurred to me till now.
Look, if it wasn't, I think with Palpatine, if it wasn't Padme, it would have been someone else, you know? Like,
Well, yeah, like Jay said, like he had to find something that
To
Anakin
take Padme out.
to No, I more meant something to leverage Anakin's emotion
Yes.
in order to seduce him, and it just luckily happened to be Padme.
What I'm saying is I think the thing to leverage Anakin has always been obvious. Like that's not even like that's surface level shit. The reason why it had to be Padme just occurred to me. Because if he had done it with anybody else, Padme would still be a problem.
yeah. Well, I'm just sitting here like thinking about Palpatine sitting back in a chair, just like, all right, well, apparently it's just a girl. I was over here coming up with all these plans. Oh, Anakin, I'll show you how to bring your mother back to life with the dark side of the Force. No, just a girl. All right, nice and easy.
It really is just kind of like, I am power sexual. I am only attracted to being in power and bad plans. So I do not understand this obsession with relationships. But listen, historically, this apparently works.
I mean, yeah, Palpatine, the guy who apparently, in order to have children, had to make clones of himself. So I think you're on to something. Palpatine's so bad at getting laid that in order for him to have a biological
child, he had
to have a clone that was better with women, apparently. God, I just want Palpatine at the bar now. Hello, yes, my name is
do you think
Palpatine, Emperor of
do you
the
think
whole galaxy.
Do you think Palpatine speed dating is one of those magic guys? It's like his opening move. It's like, where did this card go?
Oh God.
I have ordered daiquiris for the table here. Yes, this is from me.
You look uncomfortable. Let me sit very close beside you.
You look uncomfortable. Don't worry. If anyone bothers you, I'll have them killed. Because I'm Emperor, you see. I can do that.
I'll take care of you at this table today. Listen, there's nothing more comfortable about the creepy old man that controls the universe sitting randomly at your table while you sip on daiquiris that came out of nowhere.
Palpatine is just the nice guy TM.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't even think he's like the nice guy. I think he's the overly braggy fucking like,
Yes.
I've got a Ferrari
Yeah.
outside guy, you know? It's like,
Palpatine is the guy in the bar screaming loudly into a woman's ear, mansplaining. That is Palpatine.
Well,
That is
yeah.
what Palpatine would be like if he did it.
and then I said, I am the Senate. And I threw a chair at him.
So then I took a child and groomed him so that he would be my dark apprentice, and then I horribly scarred him and put him inside of a metal suit.
Isn't that right, Lord Vader? And Vader's just there the whole time standing.
Vader, what are you still doing here? Oh, I still have his leg.
Would you like his leg? He doesn't need it anymore. Here, you take this home with you if you want to.
Why don't
Yeah.
you crawl over to the closet with
I
your
hear you have
spare
to give
legs
gifts
in
in order to court. Have my apprentice's leg.
She's like,
Well-
well, what would I even do with? Oh, you're right. Yes, you're right. What are you going to do with the leg? Lord Vader, your left arm, please. Give me that.
Lord Vader,
I don't like the
Can you give
connotations
this-
of that.
can you give this lady a hand?
Oh my god. Yeah. Why is it like every episode we end on now? It's like, oh, Ben just made a really bad pun. It's time to end the episode.
Fucking looks in the corner and there's a stormtrooper with a tiny drum set who like, oh.
Yes, I threatened his family in order to
Palpatine
have
goes
him here
on-
today.
Goes on speed dates. He brings along Vader and one stormtrooper with a drum kit.
that stormtrooper has worked a 120-hour work week.
What stormtrooper name are we on? Who's this?
God, I
Um,
no.
Terry. I feel like Terry fits.
I feel like we did Terry.
Maybe.
We've done all we've
Or
done.
we killed Terry.
We're running out of.
Have we done Barry?
We
We've done
definitely have. We've done Gary and Barry. I know that for a fact. And Larry.
And Larry.
Have
That's
we done
why-
Harry?
I don't think we've done Harry.
Well,
Harry
this
the
this is
Stormtrooper.
Harry. If we have done Harry, he's Harry the Second.
Harry. No, he'd be Harry the First, and the other one would be Harry the Second. Because if we've done it, it was definitely in an
Oh,
original
God, we have to
trilogy
take a-
episode.
Timeline or into consideration
This-
now. Oh God.
The Stormtrooper bit has become the Zelda timeline of this podcast. In this reality, where this Stormtrooper dies, it creates 3 separate timelines.
So in this
He either
timeline, we have
dies,
Gary
lives, or-
Senior.
Oh God.
Oh, this has been Star Wars Every Week Forever. We love you all very much. The return of the Papa Palpsmiths. Yes, we're back. Good night.
Really just ended an episode with Palpatine speed dating.
Yeah.
Well, we got the first episode of season 2 done. Still waiting
Okay.
for that email, Kathleen.
Anytime you're ready, Kathleen.
Anytime you're ready,
Anytime.
we got season 2 is in post-production. I got the spec script on the way.
I don't understand what LOL period meant in your last correspondence. Hey, if you enjoyed us, thought we were funny, like our content, or just really love our suffering and want to hear more of it, we're available all over the place and release episodes every Wednesday around 12 Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Player FM, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and in a unique format over on YouTube that our fans seem to dig. You can join in on the conversation over on Twitter as well, at SWEWF. We're quite active and love to hear from our fans. Sincerely, though, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend with us on this car crash of a ride.